What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an Arsenal inventory update to do for you guys. Shirts and vinyl this time, and I got quite an interesting stack of things to show you here. Some shirts, some goodies, and some vinyl reissues. Let's get some shirts out of the way first. I got some shirts from my very good friend Goro Stern. He was parting ways with some shirts in his collection, and there were quite a couple of shirts in there that really piqued my interest, including some necessary ones that I needed to add to my collection. So thank you, Goro Stern, for these shirts. I'm seriously appreciative of this. First off, we have a Leviathan t-shirt. This is a design based off of Tentacles of Horror, and it's criminally maddening that I don't have enough Leviathan shirts in the collection. But this finally breaks a long streak of having just one Leviathan shirt. I needed another one, and this is a very nice design to have. There you have Rest on the front of the shirt, and on the back you have the Leviathan logo. Absolutely good quality. I believe this is a Holy Mountain printing shirt, so you're going to get high quality from Holy Mountain no matter what, so thank you for this. And I got some Deicide shirts of probably my favorite Deicide album of all time, and of course that album being Legion. I had been on the hunt for Legion shirts for ages, but I saw that he was parting ways with some Legion shirts, and one of the shirts of course has to be the album cover art for Legion. Big bold logo and the album cover for Legion right here. Very, very badass. I'm very grateful to have this. And on the back you have the name of the album, Legion. Very fucking cool. And I got one more Legion orientated shirt, and this is a very badass design here. And once again, you have Deicide here, this logo here, very, very sick. And on the back you have another Deicide logo, band logo, and lyrics. The End of God, The Way It Must Be. Classic, classic Deicide album. Very grateful to have these shirts. So once again, Goro Stern, thank you very much. Got some goodies to show you from the Metalhead Box. Now, I was originally going to do a video in regards to the June edition of the Metalhead Box, but some things in that box I had already owned or purchased, notably the CDs from Heathen and Father Befouled. They were a part of this month's, last month's Metalhead Box, and I'm going to be giving those copies to a friend of mine, but there were some other things in that box that were really worth noting and talking about here, so I'm going to show you some of the things that happened to show up in the June edition of the Metalhead Box. Since we're on the topic of shirts, let me show you the shirt that was in this month's box, and this is an absolutely killer design here. This is a Nunslaughtery shirt. Really, really love the artwork and print job done on this. You have the logo for the band here, and you have the nun and the skeleton here. Very, very good quality done with this this t-shirt. I'm very, very pleased to own it. I also got some other little cool knickknacks that came with it, preferably this pin here. This is definitely some Beharit shit going on here, because I've seen this artwork many times before. Chrome matte finish on this pin here. Beharit design, Chris Moyan artwork. Very, very gorgeous pin to look at. I also got a patch of the band Enslaved with their album Frost. Of course, this was one of their last records under their black metal sort of era, so this is very cool to have. Frost is a very solid record. And one more Nunslaughtery orientated thing here. I got a very cool little autograph from Dawn of the Dead, the vocalist of Nunslaughtery, which is an absolutely cool thing to have here. He's definitely been a long-standing voice for Nunslaughtery, and this is a very cool little artifact to have here representing Nunslaughtery, so this is awesome. So support Nunslaughtery, rest in peace Jim Sadist. But now let's get on to the real meat of this video, what I was really planning to talk about here, and I'm talking about some vinyl reissues from probably one of the greatest Canadian metal bands of all time, and that band of course being Voivod. Now, everybody's going over the moon and crazy over the current noise reissues of Celtic Frost, but as exciting as that might be, the reissues that I was the most excited for were the second, third, and fourth albums from Voivod. This was during the era of the band in which they had that more rugged, renegade sort of thrash influence into their sound, but they shifted off into a more spacey, interstellar progressive sort of sound with their thrash metal, which is really, really awesome. And Noise Records put out 3 different reissues from the bands, all band approved, I must say. And the first one we're going to start off here is the second Voivod album from 1986 with Rrröööaaarrr. Yeah. This is such a badass album to this very day. Of course, War and Pain was a fantastic debut album, but with Rrröööaaarrr, I felt that they were continuing on in the pathway that they did with their first album. And on the 9 tracks that are on Rrröööaaarrr, you get some seriously fantastic metal on here. I mean, some of the most memorable Voivod songs you'll ever hear were on this album, with Korgel the Exterminator, of course, Fuck Off and Die, Ripping Headaches, Thrashing Rage, Build Your Weapons. I mean, every single song on here is worth listening to. Snake's vocal work, the drumming, the riffs. It's just a really sensational album to listen to. And this is really one of the last real angry, pissed Voivod records you'll ever hear in your entire life. So yeah, here's the front cover. Love this artwork. Very, very bold and statement-making artwork. Back cover. Band member photos, credits, track listing. All these reissues come on these really cool printed inner sleeves. You have a photo collage of classic photos from that era of the band. On this side here you have lyrics. Very, very good quality stuff on here. And all the reissues, vinyl reissues, come on these nice heavyweight black vinyl. Side A, the ripping side, the thrashing side. Good quality here with these records, very, very well done here. And I should also mention that when I ordered these originally through the Noise Records Pledge Music campaign, they all came shrink wrapped. So if you happen to get shrink wrapped, you'll notice there'll be a little bit of corner bends or seam splits, which in my case was very minor. There were no problems, but I'm very, very appreciative to have these albums. But anyway, going back to Rrröööaaarrr, such an absolutely monstrous album, one of the greats from Voivod with Rrröööaaarrr. Fucking love this album. Moving on to the third full-length from Voivod, we moved to April of 1987 with the album in which I believe they took a shift change in their sound with Killing Technology. Yeah, really, really awesome album. And this, like I said, this is when Voivod began to take a shift change in their lyrics and their concepts, a more futuristic technological sort of advance in their sounds. I mean, it still had that Voivod edge going for it, but with the songwriting and the lyrics and the vocal work, this is really an amazing record. Listening to the title track, Tornado, Forgotten in Space, this is not an exercise. You get some more elaborate, lengthier sort of tracks on this album, but yet Killing Technology is something very, very special and something way ahead of its time for being an almost 30-plus-year-old record. This is really a fantastic piece of Canadian metal here from Voivod. Definitely one of the all-time greats. So anyway, here's the front cover. Very, very recognizable album cover here. This album cover has been very influential to a lot of bands in thrash and technical metal. Back cover here. Band photo, credits, track listings. We got another printed inner sleeve with this one. Band photo. White backdrop with lyrics and credits. And once again, you got a heavyweight black vinyl for all of these reissues. Black vinyl, side Killing, side Ravenous. Just like it was back in the early 80s when this came out. When this was released on vinyl, that's what it was like back in the 80s. But I'm glad that they integrated that for these reissues, which is really, really cool. So yeah, Killing Technology by Voivod. And the last of the Voivod reissues is definitely a continuing advancement in their overall shift change in sound and style from June of 1988 with Dimension Hatröss. Dimension Hatröss is an absolute masterpiece. I honestly would have to say that out of all of the current era of Voivod, I would have to say Dimension Hatröss would have to be my favorite of the bunch. A lot of leaps and bounds created with this album. Very, very moody, very technological, very smart. but yet it maintained a lot of the classic elements you would know from Voivod when it came to the guitar playing, the vocal work, Piggy's riffs, Snake's vocals, Owe's drums, Blackie's bass work. It's just very devastating stuff. And Dimension Hatröss is really a fantastic album to listen to, with tracks like Tribal Convictions, one of my favorite songs from them, Chaos Mongers, Macro Solutions to Mega Problems. Of course, you get the very awesome wordplay from this band, Psychic Vacuum. I mean, this is just a really fantastic album, and the concepts and ideas behind this make this album all the more memorable and special. And once again, like Roar and Killing Technology before it, Dimension Hatröss is easily a 10 out of 10 masterpiece in my opinion. So anyway, here's a front cover. Love this artwork here. Very, very nice. Yeah, Dimension Hatröss on the bottom here. Back cover, live band photo, little story to tell and track listing. Another printed inner sleeve, band member photo. Same sort of lyric scheme, white backdrop with lyrics, credits. And once again, you have another heavyweight black vinyl. Side epilogue, side prologue, which is really, really cool. But yeah, Dimension Hatröss was only the continuing of what type of sound Voivod were going for with their later releases. Of course, Voivod are a different beast nowadays, but man, albums like these, Nothing Face, The Outer Limits, just some really, really phenomenal albums, and albums that really deserve your love, time, and attention. But yeah, Dimension Hatröss, cream of the crop, best of the best when it comes to Voivod. So yeah, all of these reissues came from the Noise Records Pledge campaign. I don't know if these are available in other ways. I know there were also CD versions that had DVDs with live concert footage. I don't know if you're able to get a hold of them, but if you were able to get a hold of them, it's fucking awesome. Like I said, these are band approved reissues, so there's that way you know it's the real deal. So yeah, I'm going to leave you some links to some favorite tracks off of those out of the Voivod records that I talked to you about, and I of course will link you to the Metalhead Box where you can subscribe to them if you're interested in what they have to offer. They have more great things to come for the month of July. I'm very excited for what they continue to offer. And once again, thank you, Goro Stern, for the killer t-shirt. So if you happen to have heard any of these Voivod albums, if you have a favorite Voivod album, definitely let me know what you think about it, and we'll go from there. Have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. Until the next time, Armijo out.